So you guys there? I'm not seeing any comments. Just making sure everything is working right. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. All right. So cool. There's Vitor, how's it going? Does anybody does anyone have any questions? Taylor, how's it going? Don Johnson, look. Yeah. Okay, good. Good to hear from you guys. Randy, Bill Goodwin, Damon, and Bob. It's good to see everybody. Okay, good. That sounds good. So I'll tell you what, maybe I'll just play a tune. John, how are you? So let's see if I can remember how to do all this stuff. So I'm going to quickly shift over to my Ableton Live template and just play a little Stella by Starlight. See if I don't screw this up. So if you guys want to see this, I guess you are right now. I'm already confused. It's been so long since I've used the software. Let me go back here for a second. All right, so let me switch over to live. Oh, here we go. Let you guys see live. And I already kind of have a tempo picked out. It's like 182. So I'm gonna switch back to the main screen here. And I'll just lay down a couple of choruses, maybe 2 or 3, comping of Stella. And then launch into it. Let's double check one thing. That's okay. I like that one better. All right, here we go. All right. So that's Stella by Starlight. So hopefully everything is like I said, working right. It's been a long time since I've done a Facebook Live. And all right, so let me read some comments. This will let me know if it's certain. So this will say hello to Paulo and Damon, Randy, Bill. Damon, I'll answer that question about the backing track in a second. Simon, I'm just laughing, but it's recording timing. Can you please show me a line, 8th notes and 16ths and 30 seconds? If it was 30 seconds, I'd have to be doing obviously a ballad tempo to demonstrate that, but I certainly could do that. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. Vitor, I saw your email earlier today, and I appreciate that. It was a very detailed question, and I'll get to that too. John Paul, how do you decide or balance between single note runs and chords? That's another really good question there. Jan, how's it going? Good to see you. And by the way, Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to everybody. Let's see. All right. And Taylor, what are you asking me, man? What do you need to know? How do you play lines while abandoning the confines of rhythm? I'm not sure what you're asking me, but all right, let's get to this. So the first thing is the question about just how am I creating these backing tracks like on the spot. I'll switch over to the screen, which is my Ableton Live template. And let me switch over to Ableton Live myself so I can see it. So, I mean, this is the power of Ableton Live. That's why it's called Live, because it's ideal for these kind of things. But essentially, on this column here, I have all of my favorite Drum Genius loops imported in, and a couple other ones too that I've got from some other libraries, but 90% of them are Drum Genius loops. And just the way that Ableton Live works, like you can see here, this is the comping that I just did for Stella. And what I've done is assigned keys to my, I used to use a MIDI controller, but I found that now the keyboard is just as easy, the computer keyboard is just as easy, and Ableton Live makes that super easy too. If I just press this key button right here, then everything turns yellow, and anything that's yellow I can assign to a key on my computer keyboard. So over here you see that I've assigned the key to stop everything. I've assigned the L key to launch. That's when you hear the count off, and then I can just start comping. And I hit that L key again at the end of the comping, and then it just starts playing in time. And then I assign the T key to tap out tempos before I start playing. So it's much easier to do that than just to type it in. And that's basically it. That's how Ableton Live works. For this, there's nothing that beats it. And so that's how that works. So let's switch back. I'm trying to do this very slowly because I feel like I'm likely to make mistakes really easily. So let's get back to here for me. And look at some of these other questions. So let's look at this one because Vitor asked about this, about making these connections by half step. He has to do it good with harmonic minor. The overall question is just basically making these line connections. So if I use a tune, major technical difficulties here. Oh yeah, the volume knob is not turned on. So hopefully you guys learned something from that. In order to hear the guitar, the volume must be on. It's better. So if I were using a tune like this, Stella, the first two chords are E minor 7 flat 5 to A7. So here's a perfect place to use that harmonic minor sound. And it's basically the stuff that Charlie Parker, came up with. And the harmonic minor language is a gigantic part of that stuff. So typically, let's just say, for instance, if I wanted to practice what you're having a problem with, the first thing I tend to do is map out the chords themselves first. E minor 7 flat 5 to A7. And then I would think to myself, okay, for E minor 7 flat 5, I would use G minor. That would be either G Dorian or G melodic minor. Try to get a little more tone here. Here we go. So that's all G minor. But notice I'm playing it right over the form itself. If I was playing E minor 7 flat 5 here, I would... So this is really about getting fretboard knowledge to start with. You can't just have a certain amount of material in just one part of the guitar. You've got to learn it everywhere. And I use chord forms to help me do that, which is what I'm demonstrating right now. So if I have... So it's one measure of each chord. So if I played... Now I'm at the A7 chord. So I need to connect into the sounds that you're interested in, Vitor, which is a harmonic minor sound. I ended up on a G, so I just need to connect my harmonic minor sound. It's right here. And what you typically hear the bebop guys do is play the harmonic minor scale descending. You rarely hear them, if ever, play it ascending. It's really an interesting thing. But on the going upwards is very often done with an arpeggio. And the tune that demonstrates this the best, I think, of all Charlie Parker's tunes is Donna Lee. So my recommendation is to learn that, because the whole thing is basically what you're asking. This is it right there. This is the... I think it happens a couple more times. Here. There's your arpeggio going up. There it is again. So this is a really great tune just to get that language together. But that's how I practice it. I just play the setup, which in this case is E minor 7 flat 5, and I'll give you one more example of that, and then just connect. But you have to have everything ready to go. It just can't be, harmonic minor in one spot. So for A7, I'm very comfortable with it there. As a matter of fact, I'm comfortable with it everywhere, and that's the whole purpose of this type of practicing. But if I played another line, so there's my E minor 7 flat 5 connected to A7. And I was playing at the C minor at that point, and that's how I do it, man. I just play a series of eighth notes and just connect by half step or step to keep things flowing. And it's a beautiful sound, that whole harmonic minor, Phrygian dominant sound. It's the classic, like I said, sound of the 1940s. Charlie Parker, everybody, Cannonball, Sonny Stitt, Sonny Rollins, all of them. Clifford Brown. It's a prominent sound in the language of bebop, so I hope that helps. So this question is an interesting one to me, because I've thought about this a lot, how based on the tempo you're playing, how the feel of notes changes. And in my opinion, like, the faster the tempos are, the easier it is to negotiate that, because essentially your eighth notes completely straighten out at super fast, not even super fast tempos, but anything maybe 230, 240 and onward, things even out. But like when you're playing a ballad, if you're playing, let's think of any old ballad, let's just say it was something like Body and Soul. So if you're here, I can't play eighth notes. It sounds awful like that. So your whole sense of phrasing has to change. So in this example, let's make sure. So here's the quarter note. So eighth notes are 1 and 2, and but the thing is, the feeling of it is it's impossible for me to put it in words, but there's such a sense of things being laid back, and also the prominence of the triplet. And if you listen to people like Clifford Brown, for instance, he was masterful at that, where the subdivision I hear is there's a lot of triplets. All those figures like da 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 are triplets. So at that kind of, the reason I'm doing the slow tempo is because you asked me to do 30 seconds. There's no way I'm able to do 30 seconds at a medium tempo. So the 16ths, so that's 1, so 1 E and da 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 da. And even these, I'm not playing straight. It sounds very, very mechanical. So even with this, I tend to, you can think of it as rephrasing it, but all it really is tapping into the way you feel the music. I know this gets real zen-like and less scholastic, because I can't say to you, hold back 3 milliseconds. It's just ridiculous. So the way you get this together is I would transcribe, or at least learn solos off the recordings of the people we're talking about who play ballads so wonderfully. But those 16ths. And to be quite honest with you, if you're enjoying the way that feels and sounds, I mean, it's just from the people that I've listened to, in particular for that kind of phrasing, Charlie Parker, and on the guitar, I would certainly cite George Benson as one of the most melodic guitar players to ever grace this planet, and was super, super fluent with that. Beyond the 16ths become the 30 seconds. Let me just subdivide this in my head. So 16ths are da 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 da. At this point, they're straight. At that point, at that tempo, like I said, it's straight. So assuming I was playing somewhere around 60 beats a minute, the second tempo was, the eighth notes were 120, then I'm probably doing this wrong because my math, there's no way that tempo was beyond 400. So I might have been playing a very slow, even slower than 60 tempo. So hopefully that helps you with that question there. let's see. So I entered the backing track thing. The closing chord on that, I remember, was just Lydian, so I have a big fifth. It's a big fifth here, and then just C major triad. Let's see, if there's any other questions. Okay, just answer. Somebody else asked the same one. Now put the questions here, Ray, for sure. Put the questions here. Let's just scroll down. I can see everybody's questions and comments. One thing that's really nice about the software that I'm using right now is it just streams in the Facebook comments directly to this software. I don't have Facebook open right now. Byron, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Let me go back to this with Taylor. I hear you play lines, usually fast ones that outline changes bluntly, but aren't. It's like 8th, 16th. I was wondering how you. Man, I've always thought they were. I mean, obviously the subdivision between that is a triplet, you know. So maybe that's what you're talking about. I don't know. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. Just a drum. I'll just put on a drum loop. Think something. It'd be easier to use, like for instance, blues. I'm trying to find a good tempo where I can demonstrate what you're asking me. Shit. I'm just trying to, so that'd be yeah, Taylor, it's hard for me to, I wish I could answer. I'm not trying to hold back any like secrets. I just think that it kind of happens in the flow of the music, but it's most likely just the subdivision of triplets in between either the 8th and the 16th, or the 16th and the 32nds, like we were talking about a little bit early. I wish I could help, man. I feel like really disappointed that I can't. Paolo, thank you very much. Josh, how's it going? Jordan Clemens in New York City Jazz Guitar Masterclass. Let me get this. I like to read. Let everybody see this. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting concept for sure, and if it works, go with it. There's so many different ways of approaching this music. You know, for those of you guys who know me, I'm really big on standing on the shoulders of the people before us, and that involved a lot of, you know, just lifting solos up for recordings, learning lines, and then just kind of trying to put my own stamp on it. So, and Josh is still continuing to talk about that. Like I said, if it's working for you, great. Yeah, like Josh, I mean, I don't really have any thoughts about it, only because I don't play in terms of that. I don't think about it. I don't think of anything, when it comes to when the actual improvising is going. I'm not thinking about anything in terms of, triads or scales or any of it. That's all for the practice time for me. And if I'm playing, I'm just playing. But like I said, I'm not the only guy with an answer here. As we all know, there's some tremendously amazing guitar players. Seems like a new one shows up every day. Let me see what this is here from Ray. These are all great questions, you guys. Most of what you offer in your site is university level jazz guitar studies. However, we are not in our campus full-time program. Can you please discuss what the other aspects of jazz studies experience? That's a good one too. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you that perhaps the stuff that's on my site is toward the intermediate guitar player. I certainly don't think of it in terms of like college level or high school level or whatever level, because I've had guys walk through the door straight out of high school that are just mind-blowingly good, that have come into UNF. My whole thing is just to, utilize the material that I've learned over the years and deliver it to you guys at this particular level, because there's so many beginner level courses out there, and I can't show you drop 2 voicings any better than anybody else can. So I really like to get to the meat of the music and things like ear training and things like that. So what you're missing out on is, as you mentioned, and I'll pop that back up there again, is this part of here it's not even about physically being at a jazz program. It's just getting out on gigs and playing with people. Those are the moments when you discover where your shortcomings are. It happens all the time. The more frequently you get out there, the more you recognize the things that you need to work on, whether it's transposing tunes, playing tunes in different meters, certain tempos, and we kind of touched on that a little bit. Some people will favor particular tempos because they know that it's a very, very comfortable spot to be in, and avoid the ones that are a little bit more challenging. We kind of talked about that. It's usually, to me, it's either ultra fast or those slow medium tempos that are very, very challenging. So what you're missing out just by doing kind of lessons, like whether it's online on my site or with anybody else, is the most important part of all this, which unfortunately, because of COVID, has messed things up significantly. Where we are, when I say we, Taylor Roberts is online, maybe still in Florida. It's everything, anything goes. So we're playing gigs. As a matter of fact, I'm playing on the 1st. And we're all wearing masks and stuff like that, but that's such an important aspect of everything. So all I'm saying to you is that you could sit in your room all day and practice Phrygian dominant or Dorian mode all day long, but once you're on that gig, man, that's when you realize where your weaknesses are, and that's what you're missing out on, Ray. Hopefully that answers your question. I remember you as solo guitar. I think so. Let's see. Maybe like that. Okay. So Joe, I spoke to Joe a little bit online today. You're improvising a performance, you're thinking of particular scales or modes. Yeah, it's the second half. I'm hearing a line I want in my head that derives from years of practice. That's exactly it. You know, there's no substitute for time, but I think that it can be accelerated to a certain extent by I think some of the methods that I advocate on my website, without a doubt, that pertain to the guitarist specifically. It's all about, in my opinion, about acquiring language and then absorbing it to the point where it's so internalized that you can reach for it no matter where you are. At that point, you stop thinking, when you're playing. And I think that recently I'd seen a quote that somebody was posting by Joe Pass, who said essentially that, that you cannot think. Once you start thinking about that kind of stuff, that's how you sound like you're going to be playing, like you're playing scales, and nobody wants to hear that. So it becomes very, very, intuitive. And like I said, you're relying on all this music that you've internalized over the years. Is it based on scales and arpeggios? And yeah, it is. But that's the theory behind it. Which is why, again, even as a college professor, and it's going on 26 years now for me, I feel like we teach the improvising kind of upside down. In other words, I could never get away with this, but I wish I could just say to an improv class, transcribe these 4 solos, have them all memorized, and I'll see you in 2 months. And just let them go about doing that, and then come back and say, yeah, here Clifford Brown used an arpeggio, here Charlie Parker used harmonic minor scale, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, rather than telling a student that they can play the Dorian mode on a minor chord. It's just a senseless exploration, in my opinion, along the scale. You have to have some sort of reference to the language that's already been, played before. I think this is true in any art form, regardless. In other words, if you were to watch an interview with, this is just popping in my head, like Martin Scorsese, for instance, the director, that one of the questions is going to be, who are your influences? And he's going to have a solid answer, and he probably would, watch those films over and over and over and over again. And it's the same thing with music. There's a level of mentorship, I think, that's super, super important. And it's very rare that you come across a voice that's completely unique. It happens. But for most of us, it's what I'm describing to you. That, like I said earlier, it's like standing on the shoulders of the giants that came before us. Let's see what else we're going on here. Major scale flat 6. Hey Barry, thank you. Do you ever use, I think, in terms of harmonic major flat? I don't. Sorry. Let me see what Vitor is saying in response here. I have all the fretboard mapped out, but it seems that when you switch gears to harmonic minor, you gravitate to the 3rds or 7ths. Not necessarily. It just depends on where I am within the line that I'm playing. It's not necessarily the 3rds and the 7ths. I think that's an important thing to get together, because that's the basis of, the movement of a minor chord to a dominant at 2/5, and I get that. But if I'm thinking modally, just as thinking of harmonic minor, or the 5th mode of harmonic minor as a mode, it really doesn't matter. It just depends on where I am at any given time. See. Again, same example, E minor 7 flat 5. So I could, let's see if I do that again. I could do the 3rd for sure. But I think at that time I started on the 5th. So the thing is, like, the language, like the Charlie Parker language I'm talking about, is very, very formulated in a very powerful way. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. I'm not belittling who I consider to be the most important musician in jazz. I'm saying that you hear, it's very, very clear when he hits those 7ths, those 3rds, and then outlines the upper extensions of the dominant chord. But you can also be playing this stuff in a modal way. So there I was kind of eliminating that element of it, the whole third and seventh thing, and just connecting wherever I happen to be. The thing is, listen, don't get frustrated by it. I still stick to what I said to you earlier. Learn to head to Donna Lee. And I think that'll really give you a great insight into the usage of that overall sound. Let's see. These are all great questions. I'm enjoying answering them. Can you talk about your opinion phrasing more than chord scale relationships? Yeah, again, I think that's, an element of the music that suffers a lot of times when students of the guitar or any instrument are so involved with just this, like you're saying, the chord scale relationship stuff. So when I practice, I'll continue to use Stella by Starlight. So when I practice, one of the things I practice is just connecting eighth notes consistently for the entire form, for however long I feel like doing it. Of course, I'm always doing it within a metronome. I'm looking around my desk, see if my phone is around. I would just turn Drum Genius on so you can see what I'm talking about. But I would... Anyway, without going through the whole form, I would continue to do that through the whole form several times. And during the second time, I'll probably start thinking about reharmonizations and things like that. But when I'm playing, that's, to me, what I just did there, that's practice. It's straight up practice. It's emotionless. It's just me continuing to maintain the mastery I have over harmony. But when I get on a gig, I can kind of emulate it for your ear. But cause one thing I like to do is come out of the head, because coming out of the head should set up your very first phrase of your solo. It shouldn't just be I'm playing E minor 7 flat 5. It should be I'm coming out of the melody of Stella by Starlight. So I was doing that. So that's one I'm through, and there's a lot of stuff that's involved there. It's articulations, it's dynamics, it's phrasing, it's the feeling at that kind of a tempo. There's some negotiation within each of those eighth notes. Some people may play more on top, some people may play more to the back of it or in the center of it. And during that whole thing, I was kind of doing a little bit of all of that. And that, again, just comes from, intuition, back to what Joe was saying, over years and years and years and years. But I can't emphasize enough how important it is for you to throw yourself in the fire, meaning to play with people as much as you can. That whole practicing in isolation and the safety of your bedrooms, so to speak, or your offices, is only exposing half of your musical situation, So, these are good too. I'll say this really fast, that, these give you a slight bit of that adrenaline that you would have like on a live performance, knowing that there are people listening to me. I'm very aware of that, why I'm playing for you guys right now. And I am playing with more feeling and thoughtfulness. When I say thoughtfulness, I don't mean scales. Just thoughtfulness about trying to be very musical because you're here. If I was just sitting by myself, I would be playing, like that example I played for you earlier, just running lines. So let's see. These are, like I said, I'm really enjoying these great questions. And let's see this. Talk about the comping on style by style, please. Playing with a female vocal. Thank you very much. Well, the first thing, of course, is just hoping on a tune like Stella that they do it, that the vocalist does it in the key of B flat, because that's a tricky tune to think about all the chords. I can give you a little hints about that for a second. But for me, the most important thing you could do when you're first learning a tune or you're thinking about accompanying a vocalist or a saxophonist or whoever is to make sure that your voicings are not conflicting with the melody. So one of the things I'll always do is I'll just go through the entire melody and you kind of create a basic, chord melody. So, I like that sound. I've also, Herbie Hancock, he goes up. Even though it says E minor 7 flat 5 in the fake book, the melody note is A, so I don't need to put it in there. I could, but in any case, they continue on. This stuff I just played for you, I've ripped off so much of this from the 2 different Miles versions, one from the quintet with Herbie and one with the, other one with Paul Chambers, Red Garland. Both of them have such interesting reharmonizations, or depending on how you may look at it, maybe it's the original chords to Stella, who knows. At this point, I know that Mike Moreno has done something on this, and I agree with him where I think the beginning chord, and it was a different key, I think it was the key of G. The first chord was diminished, but what jazz musician wants to play on diminished, especially at an early stage of their development? Now I would love it. I wish we did play it, because diminished is so much fun. But what I'm getting at is you have to go through the entire tune and make sure that the voicings you're playing are not conflicting with the melody, which happens so much, happens all the time. I'm trying to think of a couple of severe culprits, like that are very standard tunes, like so I think the chord symbol given next is B flat minor 7. If you play B flat minor 7, the melody note is A natural. You have so if you just play a straight up B flat minor 7 chord, it's going to conflict. And those are the kind of things that, to me, are very, very important. So I always do that whenever I'm learning a new tune, or just revisiting one. And like I said, when the person asked me to play I Remember You, it's not like I had a chord melody worked out for that. I just knew the tune and basically I'm demonstrating what the end result of that is you have a really great framework that you can work out of. And I could have played more and more choruses and continued to improvise and things like that. But just like I just demonstrated for you right now, I don't have a necessarily worked out chord melody of Days of Wine and Roses either. But like I said, I've gone through this process so much, I probably can convince you that I do have something worked out. So I have a lot of lessons on my site that deal with this. So for those of you who have never checked it out, you should definitely do so. Try out that 7-day free trial and just in the search menu, just type in the word comping, and so many lessons will come up on that subject alone. Let's see. This is a good one too. I'm a student at State College and I'm interested in continuing my degree at UNF, which I've read it before I audition. Well, you can go to the UNF website. We're very specific about what we're asking for, but what I can tell you as a faculty, we're looking for musicians. Be very, very honest with you. So there's a certain set of tunes we ask you to play. One of them is Billy's Bounce. So we'd rather hear something like this. This might help you. We'd rather hear a solo like this. 1, 2, 3. So what I'm trying to say is we'd rather hear somebody with phrasing and time and groove rather than hear a bunch of scales and worked out licks. And I want to mention something because this is so apparent on all the recordings that whether it comes to Wes Montgomery or Charlie Parker or any of the people that we talked about, there seems to be that treatment of the blues that's very consistent, where those first sets of 4 measures are very conversational. You know what I mean? So you start hearing the jazz language in the last 4. It's really, really, really consistent. I'm telling you, if you check it out, from all the guys we've mentioned. I think that's very, very interesting. And by the way, I'm really emphasizing that harmonic minor stuff intentionally for guitar today, and I apologize if I'm screwing your name up. But here's the 4 chord in blues. So that's what we're looking for. I don't mean to put a lot of pressure on you, but we're just listening for your musicianship because we can always teach you the scales and all those modes and things like that. So, I'm not sure what you're asking here, Jeff. You all believe in freedom down yet here in Florida? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't know if there's it's whether it's humor or darkness in there. Randy Smith, can I play a chord melody for Old Lang Syne? I don't know. So that's the first thing I would do, is just play the melody. And again, this is the whole thing with the ear training too. I'm not saying that I've never played that in my life, because I played plenty of New Year's Eve gigs when I was younger. But I'll be quite honest with you, just to say that I'm just hearing my way through it. So, you put me on the spot, and those are 2 different harmonizations of the same melody. If I sat here for a few minutes, I would worked up something more sophisticated, but there you have it. And I'm being very, very honest with you guys. All that stuff is off the cuff, so to speak. Yeah, Ken, I love the way Martin Taylor plays. I've seen him play live a couple of times. It's just absolutely beautiful and effortless, absolutely effortless. David, I don't have a recommendation for an acoustic. Yeah, I wish I did. I do not. Maybe somebody else in the group here could answer that for you. Josh, I have never played with John. I know him. We've talked to each other. via Facebook and on the phone, as a matter of fact. I'm trying to read the rest of this. Let me read the rest of this comment here. With so much inner voice movement, have piano players influenced? So, I think you're asking if piano players influenced me. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the guys like Herbie in particular, because in my day, learning how to play guitar in the '70s and the '80s, were just a few guys. Pat Martino, Benson, of course. Wes. And then there was another kind of group of guys like, Barney Kessel, Tal Farlow, Jimmy Rainey. Those are the guys, but harmonically, even, Wes, there's no comparison to what the guys like Herbie and Chick Corea, Keith Jarrett were doing. So yeah, I studied that a lot, a real lot, to build up the chordal playing beyond what I was hearing from just those guys. Linearly, I still think, of those players in the most highest regard. But like I said, even a guy like Joe, as monstrous as he was a chord melody player, he really just came out of some very simple, common chord forms, drop twos and drop threes. But his brilliance, of course, what we were talking about earlier, is time feel, tone, vibe, swing, chops, all of it. He had everything. And plus, he had extraordinary ears. Could play any tune that he knew in any key. And he's a guy who you never did hear, make a mistake. So to answer your question, yes. Alex, I am not the Joe Pass of 2020, but thanks. Joel, right now on this guitar, I have 13 gauge Tomastic Infelds, which I'm happy with. I used to use 14s, but these are sounding great. Thank you guys for just the straight up comments. I appreciate it very, very much. Let's see what John Paul is saying. Yeah. Yes, I do have that picture, John. It's on my website. Thanks very much, by the way. That gives me a lot of credibility. Because I can actually say I played with George Benson, even though it was just at a party at Dr. Forte's house. But yeah, that was pretty insane. That was huge moment for me to play with one of my living heroes. I've been fortunate. I've gotten to play with both of them, with both Pat Martino and George. But in settings like that. But still, it happens, and I have pictures to prove it. So thank you very much. This is a great question too. If you had to recommend 4 solos to transcribe, what would they be? I've got a PDF of this, so email me later, okay, and I'll send it to you. But I would definitely say there's a Jimmy Smith record with George Benson on it called Off the Top. There's a solo on there of a tune called Mimosa, which you must do. I'm also a big fan of Coltrane, and there's an album called Coltrane Plays the Blues, and there's a solo on there called Blues to You, where he's playing a lot of just straight ahead blues, but then mixing in some of this really, really modern, at the time, modern harmonic stuff, which really helped me kind of get an idea about reharmonization. I'm trying to think of some Just Friends on Pat Martino, El Hombre, that's a biggie too. And I have a couple of others, but email me and I'll send you that PDF. But those are 3 big ones for sure. Lenny Bro was unbelievable. It's mind-blowing. I saw him live at Berkeley when I was a student at Berkeley. This would have been back in 79 or 80 through 81. Yeah, one of those just mind-blowingly amazing guitar players. What 4 solos you consider one should? Yeah, so that's just kind of answered that one. And I would love to get back to traveling again. I had a great time in Puerto Rico. That really was great. I'm not sure what you mean by chord blocks. You should have me develop some chord blocks the way you do. It's a kind of, the terminology is throwing me off. I can tell you that you mentioned I Remember You, I think. They're all just basically coming out of traditional voicing methods. You know, drop 2 here, closed here, drop 2, drop 2, drop 2, drop 2, drop 3, drop 3, 3. So real traditional chord types. So sometimes I'll get into fourths, fifths. It just matters what kind of mood I'm in. 3-note voicings I started to play there. Those are beautiful as well. How do you make some notes movements into chords? Again, I think there's like just a slight language barrier. But one of the things I practiced a lot is if I were playing, I think you're meaning just like how do you kind of calm for yourself if you're in the middle of soloing. So if I was playing a line on Stella, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So what I'm trying to demonstrate is that the melody is always coming first. And when I get to the pause in the phrase, I fill it out with a chord. But I did practice that a lot. A lot of it is just working on chord melody things and just developing that ability to say, okay, C natural on an A7 chord, sharp 9, and to be like immediate with all of it. F sharp on a B flat chord is sharp 5, and to be able to grab those voicings. And that just comes from hard work, but most of it was just from harmonizing tunes every single day. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I did it every single day for years. Just open up a fake book, harmonize the whole tune, so it becomes second nature. And if you're in a trio situation, man, it's really, really effective to be able to calm for yourself like that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Rick Roll, I kind of answered that already. And if any of you guys want to reach out to me and email me, I'm afraid to jump into my Dropbox. Let me see if I could just say, if I type in transcribe. Yeah, I do. So I'm trying to think how I would deliver this to you guys. Oh, yeah, know how. Copying link. So hopefully that worked. That's a link to that PDF I was telling you guys about. Let's see. That was actually pretty easy. Looking at some more questions. I think that, Thomas, I think, Kurt Rosenwinkel, first of all, brilliant guitar player. He's come from the Metheny school, for sure, in my opinion. Whenever I hear him, but that's who I'm hearing as his major influence. And I do admire all of the modern guitar players. And that's what should be happening, It should be, like we talked about earlier, just keep on building on top of each other's shoulders. I don't want it the fear I have over some of them, I would never mention any names, is the lack of blues in some of the playing. Kurt Rosenwinkel excluded. But that's such a huge component of jazz, and it always has been. And to see that kind of going by the wayside to more of an intellectual kind of a thing, to me is slightly, worrisome. But time goes on, and the music moves along. There's nothing I can do about it. But I am a fan of many of them. I love, for instance, I love Mike Moreno. Just love the way he plays. I also love Julian Lage, another just brilliant musician. Let's see, Thomas. Articulating their phrasing are the things that great players work out ahead of time. I don't think it's ahead of time. If you mean ahead of time, like just practice it, yeah. But when you're in the flow of being a musician, and improvising, there's nothing that can ever prevent you from trying to make sure this light is as bright as possible. There's nothing that can ever prevent you from phrasing the way that you feel the music. It's just like I'm speaking to you right now. I have a particular pace that I'm speaking with you now, the inflection, all that kind of stuff. I'm not obviously thinking about any of that. The only way that I've found that to practice that to a level where people really are moved by your playing on that level is to play along with the people that already do that the way you admire. I hate to say it, man. So much of the answers are not in the textbooks, but they're on the recordings. But that requires it's a lot easier to open up a book, learn a lick, and feel like you're making some progress, and you are, but that element that we just talked about, time feel, is everything. I'll be totally frank with you, when I hear somebody for the first time, I don't have like a checklist or anything like that, but the first thing I'm struck by is sound and time feel. And both those things have to be there for me to enjoy it. I don't care if they're playing the most advanced harmonic stuff. If there's not a great pocket, man, I'm already gone. It's just not enjoyable. Joel, I'm stuck on 3-5-1 flat 7, 3, 5, 1. I'm not sure what you're saying. 3. Oh, those patterns for practicing bebop. Yeah, I mean those are the ones that I use. I don't have any other ones. On that same PDF is the one that has the flat 9 variation of that, and then that Pat Martino. That madness is on there too. Greg Salinas, I am doing well, thanks. I see a lot of your live streams, and thanks for posting them on the Barry Greene Video Lesson user group. I know that everybody enjoys seeing you and hearing you play, man. So merci beaucoup. Let's see, Ross. I teach how to play on scale to use a term. Man, I don't know. It's a good one. I guess only time will tell. See how your students turn out. I don't know. I think obviously from the ear perspective, it's really, really good. But I don't know. I don't want to jinx that, because maybe you've discovered a new way of dealing with it. Let's see. Again, thank you guys for all the compliments. So when playing in situation duo, you often use walking bass time comping. I don't. Even though I have a whole lesson on it and I like doing it, it's just it depends on who you're playing with, I suppose, but it's a very restrictive thing for the soloist. I'd rather be more interactive with the person, but it's something I do like and practice a real lot. And I'll give you one little tip about that stuff, where I think where a lot of guitar players don't do this as well as possible is that they'll make the bass like the loudest thing, when if you think about a rhythm section, it's not. It's behind the piano, almost kind of within the drum set. And like I said, I do have a lesson on the website. So if you're not just doing like rhythm change, that vibe to me feels a lot better than when that bass line is so super pronounced. So that's just one little tip about that. But yeah, I tend to not do that. Let's see. Do I play Strolling? Yeah. Yeah, let's play some music. Let me go through that. It's been a long time. So let me jump over to Ableton Live. Let me switch my screen first for you guys, and then myself. Doing something wrong. I don't know what it is, but okay. So if you guys kind of want to see, I know a lot of you guys are interested in the whole how I do the on-the-fly stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tap the tempo with those shortcuts I made. So, so that's at about 119.95. So then I just look for a loop from Drum Genius that's pretty close. Let's see how this sounds. I think that'll work. And that's it. All I have to do is press the L key to launch. So I'll comp through, a couple of choruses, and then do the usual. I'm just making sure in my own head that I think I have it. Don't worry. I'll switch back, sorry about that. Stop my own sequencer. Sorry, you guys, about that ending. Oh, yeah, so that's Strolling, Horace Silver. So I knew what went wrong with my button clicking. Alrighty, so let's do a few more. So yeah, it's about 4:20, just do a little bit more. Peter Vale. Probably a lot of the same that everybody else has played, Les Paul Strats. The Benedetto chose me, let's put it that way. It was an offer I couldn't refuse, if you know what I mean. I took a lesson with John Schofield back in the 1980s. It's a very funny story, I'll make it very, very quick. Actually, it's a long story, but I'll make it short. But I remember, I think the lesson was like $30. This is back like in the mid-'80s. And he took me down to his basement. He had a polytone set up there. And I had my manuscript paper and a pencil all ready for a lesson. And he said, I don't remember what tunes we played, but he asked me, do I know this? I said, yes. And we played it. Do you know this? Yes. We played it. Do you know this? Yes. And we played it. And he just said, I swear, this is the lesson. Continue to do what you're doing. That's what he said. He didn't write a thing on that piece of paper. He just told me to continue to do what I'm doing. But the funny part of this is that many, 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 many years later, I was playing at a jazz festival in Clearwater, Florida, and the band I was playing for opened up for Schofield, and so we had played our set, and I saw him walking toward us. In the beginning, I just thought he was, walking, but I realized he's heading right toward us. And he came up to me right away and said, man, you played your ass off. I almost had tears in my eyes. He was shaking my hand. And I told him the story I just told you guys. And he said, do you want your money back? That's what he said. I'll never forget that. That was such a fantastic day because I've always loved him as a person and a guitar player. And so it's funny how things come around full circle like that. Because I'm talking how to be, a good 20 plus years later. So it's really, really funny. Let's see. Dayman, I do have a lesson on Mimosa. It is on the website. Yeah, I mean that Mimosa solo has got everything. It's got all this is badass blues playing, just monstrous bebop lines, and the time feel. To play it at those kind of tempos, no, it's not that. Oh no, it's right this. Yeah, that kind of. Those a slow kind of bossa nova tempo like that. He just destroys it. It's unbelievable. Let's see. Let me look at a couple more, and then I'm going to say goodbye, only because we've been here for almost an hour and a half. Can you show us how to play jazz over the transition in a 1-6-2-4-2-5 blues? 1-6-2-5 blues. I'm sorry, Jeff. I'm sorry. I'm not clear on the question. Is this the Bill Goodwin from up north, the bass player from Delaware Woody Gap, or another Bill Goodwin? Oh, you're Bill Godwin. You come from a higher power. I don't know Goodbye Pork Pie Hat, but thanks for the request. All right, I think, unless I see something that jumps out. Yeah, that's it. So I appreciate you guys being here. I say this and then sometimes I don't stick to it, but I think it's important for me to do these. It's good to connect with everybody, whether you're on the site or not, but I do encourage you guys to jump on there and try out that 7-day free trial. You know, the stuff I showed you today is just like a glimpse into what's available there. Plus, there's, at this point, over 1,000 pages of PDF material on there. And lately I've been using Ulysses Owens on drums for the backing tracks that I've been doing. So a lot of that stuff comes from your guys' suggestions, by the way. I was getting hammered with requests to include backing tracks with the lessons, and I finally folded. You know, I thought I don't want to do any more work. But I started playing with Ulysses at this jam session lately, and I thought, what's the harm in asking? And don't forget, he's played with Christian McBride. He's with what's his name, Christian Sands. It's just he's won a bunch of Grammys. I thought, maybe he'll do it, and he did. He agreed to it. So I've got one. I'm just finishing the PDF. Like, I could really probably knock it out tomorrow, but with the holidays, there's just a lot of stuff going on in my life right now at the moment. But I'll put that out on the site next week. But this one is on the Benny Golson tune, Stablemates, which was a request. And the next, after that, I'm working on it right now, the Bill Evans version, this Bill Evans tune, Nardis, which has a lot of things in it that people just gloss over that I've never seen in any kind of fake books, but all you do is turn the record on and there it all is, So I see a very, very good friend of mine, James Hogan. If you guys haven't checked him out, make a point to do just that, because he's an exceptionally gifted, great guitar player and a fantastic person. So Happy New Year to you and to everybody else here. And I'll try to do this, like I said, more often. All right, so all the best. See you guys in 2021. Take care, stay healthy, stay safe, and thanks for being here. Bye.